What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Tap. My name's Michael. If you've never been here before, I really appreciate you tuning in. And of course, if you've listened to us in the past and are a avid listener, I appreciate your support as well. If you guys, before we jump into our video, if you are watching on YouTube or even listening on the podcast, if you could go over to our YouTube page and just hit that subscribe button and then hit the like button on this video, it'd be much appreciated. Also, if you want to know and get the notifications every time we launch a new video, just hit that little bell. Hit that little bell in the bottom right there. You will be notified when we launch a video. So, but anyways, welcome in. I am very excited about today's topic. Today, we're talking post-hype sleepers, some guys that had a lot of hype around them last year and they failed to deliver. I did get one at least at each position. I've got 5 players I want to talk about today. I've got 2 wide receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end, and 1 quarterback. So without further ado, let's jump into it now. Let's start with DJ Chark, the wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Last year, he was being drafted as a wide receiver 20, ADP of 49. He finishes the wide receiver 48, so obviously nowhere near where people thought he was going to finish. And then, of course, one reason why people were so hyped on him was because he finished 2019 as the wide receiver 19. So that was big. They also, Minshew mania, things like that. All that had to go in or went into him being so hyped up. Everybody, I mean, there were tons of analysts and people saying he's going to finish as a wide receiver 1. I mean, he has that upside. He does. He's a very skilled receiver, but obviously did not return on that investment last year. So this year, people are a little low on him. Currently ADP of 78, wide receiver 30. So he's being drafted 2.5 rounds later than he was at this point last year. I love that. I love that for him. Not as much pressure. Okay. He's going into a contract year. Okay. And we all know, I mean, obviously there's no metric saying that, going into a contract year, he's going to ball out. No, but we do see that happen. We do see when these players are playing for contracts, they turn it up a notch or two. So not saying that you should draft them based off of that. Really, the biggest thing for me is the stability at the quarterback position. Obviously, we all saw they had the number 1 pick this year. They grabbed Trevor Lawrence, the luscious hair man himself. I mean, one of the best generational talents coming into the draft. I mean, quarterbacks, whatever you want to call it, one of the best. Hoping it translates to the NFL, but we'll see there. But I think the stability at the quarterback position is going to be key for DJ Chark. Last year, he had 3 different starting quarterbacks. Not to mention the coaching staff. I mean, just was subpar. Obviously, new coaching staff there, new offense. It's going to be interesting. They have Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones there. And of course, they also drafted Travis Etienne. And they still have James Robinson, but they don't have a true tight end either. I think in that offense, Chark's going to be the true number 1 receiver on this team. Laviska is going to be that Swiss Army knife. We saw some of it last year. He's got a ton of ability. He can run the ball, get the ball into his hands. He can be a playmaker. And then Marvin Jones, I think he's going to be a role player. I think he's going to fill in when needed. I do like his value as well in fantasy. I will say that. But I don't think he's going to be taking away from Chark enough to really impede his fantasy value. And here sitting at the 30th wide receiver drafted, I see him returning big time on that. He has a ceiling. I think this year his ceiling is a low end wide receiver 1. I see him more finishing in that mid to low wide receiver 2 spot. So giving you that return on investment. Last year, he only saw 5 touchdowns. Year prior, with Gardner Minshew playing the majority of the season with that quarterback stability, he had 8. May have been due to his red zone, a little bit due to his red zone targets last year, only having 19% of the team's total red zone targets, compared to 23% in 2019. Not a massive jump or loss, but still, that is some targets that he did lose there in the red zone. So I think some positive regression in the touchdown area, some stability at the quarterback. DJ Chark is a great post-hype sleeper. Now, let's jump on over to the running back position. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. This guy is somebody who I was on the hype train last year. I will 100% admit that, and I was wrong. Getting him, I mean, he was being drafted as his ADP was 5 last year. And he was the 5th running back going off the board. Obviously did not return on that investment, and he hurt a lot of people. He hurt a lot of people doing it, and I think that's why he's dropped as far as he has. He finished as a running back 22 last year. His current ADP is 20, and his running back, he's going off the board as running back 15, which I think is too low. Is way too low. He still has that top 5 upside that we all talked about last year. He does. In that offense, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has that upside. One thing, both him and Patrick Mahomes have already came out and said that, and not just to Clyde Edwards, but they said they want to start throwing the ball to the running back more. And I know they signed Jerick McKinnon. They have Darrell Williams still there, but they didn't sign any other big name. They didn't bring in a Le'Veon Bell. Obviously, there's some beef there. That's probably why they didn't bring in Le'Veon Bell. But anyways, they didn't bring in anybody off the streets. Todd Gurley's still available. They didn't bring anybody off the streets, big names, I will say, other than McKinnon. And I don't think that McKinnon is a threat to Clyde Edwards at all. I think he's more of a depth piece. Good talent, but he's not going to impede Clyde Edwards whatsoever. He only saw 55 targets last year. And one of the big things that everybody talked about and why he was being drafted, especially in half PPR and PPR leagues, so highly was because of his pass catching ability. He saw a ton of goal line work, didn't get in the end zone as much as he should have. And I think, that's one reason why they ended up bringing in Le'Veon Bell. He only had a total of 5 touchdowns, 4 rushing and 1 receiving. I think we see that number get close to double digits. I also think we see that 55 target range number go from 55, getting up to that 75, 80 target range, especially with the added game. I don't think that's going to be an issue for Clyde Edwards. And I see him being drafted or finishing as a top 12 running back this year. And like I said, you're getting him ADP 20. You're getting him at the end of the second. I've seen him fall into the third. If you can get him as your second running back, you could start off stud running back, high-end wide receiver, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Your team and your draft is off to a great start. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Now, let's move on to the tight end position real quick. It was kind of hard to find a post-hype sleeper for Rob Gronkowski. For tight ends, I spoiled it. So I'm going with Rob Gronkowski. Listen, people, he was last year, and I know he finished well. Last year, ADP 74, tight end 7 off the board. He finished as a tight end 8. So yes, he did. He returned on that investment if you kept him. That's the thing, is if you kept him. After that goose egg in week 2, he was on a lot of waiver wires. A lot of fantasy community was like, okay, we can cut Gronk. He's clearly not Gronk of the past. So, and if you held on to him past that, good on you, because he had a good solid end of the season, and finishing as that tight end 8. This year, currently, he's going ADP of 114, and you're getting him as the tight end 12. So he's going in that 10th round. I think if you're wanting to stack up, maybe you want to go quarterback early, Maybe you want to grab like a Josh Allen or Kyler or a Dak, somebody like that. But you don't really want to grab a early tight end as well. I think Gronk's a great target, somebody you can grab, stack your running backs and wide receivers, grab a quarterback early, and Gronk, I think, will have a similar finish to last year. Now, I think it's going to be up and down. It's not going to be consistent. They have so many weapons in that offense. However, he is coming into the second year in that offense. He's going to get a little more adjusted to that. Mike Evans also, I don't see him catching 13 touchdowns again. I don't. I see him getting that 10. And then the red zone targets. Both Mike Evans and Gronkowski were tied for the team's target percentage in the red zone. That's 21%. However, Gronk only caught 38% of his red zone targets. And I think we're going to see that. And that was the lowest. I apologize. I think we're going to see that increase. And that was the lowest on the team, 38% in the red zone. So I think we see a few more touchdowns from Gronk, a couple more touchdowns, as well as, some touchdown regression from Mike Evans. I think Gronk's a solid pick. Get him there at as the tight end 12 off the board. And I think he's going to be a great addition to your team. Moving on. Another guy who kind of left a sour taste in our mouth, and we don't know what to think of him. His team drafted a wide receiver in the first round this year. And I'm talking about Marquise Brown. Last year, ADP 60, wide receiver 26 off the board. He finished as the wide receiver 34. And this year, he's being drafted as ADP of 115, right behind Gronk, and wide receiver 45 off the board. Now, his ADP has risen over the last few weeks, and I think that's because people are starting to realize he has the upside. That was another reason why his ADP was so high last year, is because we know he is a big play guy. He can make things happen when he has the ball in his hands. So I think people are starting to realize, Sammy Watkins added for depth. Rashad Bateman, I don't see him coming out and tearing it up in his first year, especially in an offense that doesn't throw the ball a ton. I mean, it's a run first offense. We all know that. But I do see a third year jump from Marquise Brown, somebody who's familiar with the offense, who Lamar knows and is comfortable with. And having that Sammy Watkins, Rashad Bateman will leave some of that pressure off of Marquise. So I think that he's in for a better year. Being drafted as a wide receiver 45, I am very happy with that. Now, I did say his ADP is rising, or it has risen. So I will say the earliest I want to take him, currently, like I said, he's 114 or 115. So he's going in the 10th round. Earliest I want to take him is about round 8. Just because I'm looking for value when I'm drafting. And I think that's still a value for him. I don't want him getting anywhere close to, what he was being drafted at last year. I don't think he will. I don't think he will get up to that 6th, 5th round or 6th, 5th round. But round 8 is probably the earliest I'd take him. But I love where he's sitting at right now. And then finally, let's get to our quarterback. Now, I was originally going to go with Carson Wentz. I will say that. However, we talked about him last video, and I wanted to show some love to somebody else. And I know there's a quarterback battle going on in New England. However, I'm still pretty shocked that Cam Newton's going as low as he is. Okay, I know it's not the sexiest pick. It's not the sexiest pick whatsoever. Last year, being drafted ADP of 124, quarterback 15 off the board, and he finished right there. He finished as quarterback 16. Did miss a couple weeks, or 1 week due to COVID, but this year, this just blows my mind. 2021's ADP is 179. That's the end of the 15th round. And quarterback 27. Some leagues he's going undrafted. If you're in a small bench league, whatever it is, he's going undrafted in some leagues. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I understand there's skepticism and things like that. And a lot of these ADPs right now are based off best ball. So I think that even though he's a steal right now. I mean, it really is. The end of the 15th round. You could grab him with your last or second to last pick, realistically. If you want to go one of those high-end quarterbacks, grab Cam Newton as your second quarterback. I typically don't like grabbing two quarterbacks, but if I'm grabbing a high-end quarterback, I'd like to have one. Or if I'm grabbing like a super risky, like a Kirk Cousins or something like that, I'd like to have somebody else just in case. But in my opinion, to be honest, I do expect Cam to be the starter. He's been in the offense a year now. So I expect him to start the season as the starter. And unless they're losing games because of Cam Newton, or because of the offense, I don't think we'll see a change. I think they'll sit Mac Jones. Now I know there are reports that he looks, great ahead of schedule, whatever you want to call it. But I think Cam Newton gives a different, I know Cam Newton gives a different aspect to that offense that is nice to have. Inside the 5-yard line, you can do a ton. He can run it in himself. We saw it last year. He ran the ball in. He had 12 rushing touchdowns. That's not going away. We know Cam Newton has the rushing upside. He finished 9 games last year, 14th or QB 14 or better. He did have 5 games, 29th or worst. So it wasn't like it was like I got a good to great week from Cam, or I got a very bad week from Cam. And I think you're going to see that. I don't think he's going to be the picture of consistency. But like I said, he's my second to last or last round pick. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. A couple other reasons why I like Cam. Obviously, we saw them sign 2 tight ends this year, 2 very good tight ends, Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. They also went out and got Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, and of course, they still have Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry, as of now, is still on the team. So he's got some weapons there, especially at the tight end position. He's got a young receiver, Jacoby Myers, who I'm intrigued by. I'm intrigued by, to say the least. And then he's got the rushing upside. Plus the 1 year, one more year in the league, the additional year on the team, getting used to that offense. I think Cam Newton's going to be a solid grab, especially for as late as you can get him. So those are my 5 post-hype sleepers, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment below if you disagree, agree, whatever. Just let us know. Let us know what you think. Also, if there's something you want to hear, maybe you have a question, hit us up there. Also, don't forget to join our Discord. We talk football, basketball, baseball, all sports. And then, of course, fantasy football is mostly what we talk about. We also talk about sports betting and things like that. So make sure to join that. Link will be in the description. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe. We love you.